Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I am talking about Please Don't Tap on the Glass and Other Tales of the Melancholy and Grotesque by Mike Lombardo. Look at that cool cover. The back looks the same, but covered up with things. Love that cover. So this is a short story collection from award-winning filmmaker Mike Lombardo, and excuse me, I'm recording this on Sunday. It is afternoon because when I recorded last night, this was set aside, and I forgot to record my review for it. I just realized. Does anybody care about that? So this has 12 stories. I don't know. It's got a bunch of stories in it. And an introduction from Mike Lombardo. And story notes. I'm rambling. I'm not used to doing this on a Sunday. It's throwing me off. So what we have here is a great short story collection with stories that range from amusing to heartbreaking. Let's see. I'm just going to kind of talk about some of these stories a little bit without giving anything away, I hope. But we start with Dead Format, which is a love letter to VHS tapes and small video stores and the low budget, the movies that were coming out back in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of them that disappeared when VHS and video stores disappeared. And it talks about how you have places like Arrow and Vinegar Syndrome, I think, and some others that are bringing some of these back, trying to reformat them and add special features and things, but a lot of them are still just lost. But it's not just about that. It's also about horror. It's a horror story, and it has a little heart at the end of it. The second story, absolutely have to talk about. I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday. So this is the short story that is the basis for the film. I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday, written and directed by Mike Lombardo, and it's a great film. It's an award-winning film. It's played a bunch of film festivals and things. And the story is shorter than I expected. And again, it's really, man, Mike Lombardo knows how to punch you in the gut. It's a rough story. And I love the story notes that explain either, just, hey, I love old VHS tapes and I wrote this story, or something like I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday, where he just gets down into the emotional trenches and dredges up the things that inspired some of this work. Excuse me, The World in a Window, heartbreaking story. No Comment is a hilarious story. I love the notes for it, and I'm not going to give you any details at all about it, except that it is, okay, it's a story that you can read all on its own and enjoy it, but it's actually something that the very beginning of the story is in one of Mike Lombardo's short films. So it's sort of a continuation or a branch from that short film, but you don't need to have seen it. You should watch all of Mike Lombardo's stuff. It's great. But I love this story. So I think you can enjoy it without knowing where it came from. But if you do know where it came from, you're going to get an even bigger kick out of it. Don't Tap on the Glass, the title story. And then we're going to skip down. Weekend at Escobar's. From the description on the back, sounds like it's going to be this goofy, funny, I guess is that redundant? Lighthearted horror story Um, it's Mike Lombardo. There's going to be more to it than just what it says on the back, but it's really a harrowing story and reminded me very much of something Joe Lansdale might have written. Um, I could easily see it would have a bit more of a Texas drawl to it if Lansdale wrote it, but just the story itself really felt like a Lansdale story. Excuse me. And Play Place is the longest story and probably the most straightforward. Not that the rest are complicated stories, but the most. Um, I don't want to say average because none of these stories are average, but the most. I don't know. Maybe straightforward is the best way to put it. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Again, short stories, always difficult to talk about for me because I'm worried about giving things away. Just like The Real Thing, really quick, horrible story. I'm not going to name them all. But, excuse me, there's a great mix here of, as I said, sort of lighthearted stories and really dark stories, really emotional stories. Mike Lombardo he's a great storyteller, whether it's his short films, his feature length film, or now his short stories. I've already told him I want more. And I love that cover. I believe, let me just double check. I believe it is, yes, Chris Enterline, a fantastic artist and a writer in his own right now. I have his premiere novel sitting right over there. I can see it. It's right there. Haven't read it yet, but I'll get to it. But his covers are fantastic. He's in that top echelon of the cover artists that I love, like Lynn Hansen and Justin T. Coons. And I think they knocked it out of the park with this cover. Just the whole design of it, the fact that it's this nice fish tank. Is there anything else I need to say about this? Highly recommended. I can't remember if I gave it 4 or 5 stars on Goodreads. Kind of assuming it was 5. It's just a really great short story collection. You get the whole gamut of what Mike Lombardo can do as a storyteller. And as I said, the story notes are fantastic. Yeah, it's been a little while. Not a long time, but a week or so since I read it. So my thoughts aren't perfectly coherent, but I highly, highly recommend it. As I said, I believe it was a 5-star rating on Goodreads that I gave it. Please don't tap on the glass. And Other Tales of the Melancholy and Grotesque, Mike Lombardo. If you like short stories, if you just want to read good stuff, pick this up. Highly, highly recommended. So there you go. See, I'm just thrown off from this whole recording on a Sunday thing. Do I have a question for this video? How do you feel about someone known for one thing branching into another thing? Know what I'm saying? Mike Lombardo is a filmmaker. Now he's writing short stories. Oh, and some of these have been published in other places, so it's not like he just decided to jump into writing. But we could take Hugh Laurie wrote a book. I'm trying to think of some other people, like actors who write not biographies or anything like that, but actually write like a mystery or a fantasy. I know people that think, you're an actor, why are you writing something? Actually, the biggest place I see that is when an actor puts out an album, or a singer is in a movie, and it's like, people could do two things, but people I know are just like, why is that singer? Why does he think he can be an actor? Why does that actor think they can sing? But there are quite a few actors that write books. See, I was going to mention Richard Belzer, but did he start as a comedian and then became an actor? And somewhere in there, he was writing books, but I don't know. Like, I read I think it's his first book, all about conspiracies and stuff, and it seemed to just sort of fall into what he talked about on stage, and it was a lot of his character, Munch on Law and Order Special Victims Unit. See, this is getting rambling. What do you think about cross-pollination? Let's call it that. Something like this with Mike Lombardo. He's a storyteller. He was telling stories on film. Now he's telling stories on paper. As I said, some of these have appeared elsewhere. But it's still all storytelling for him. As far as actors and singers go who try their hand at writing, some of them are, as actors and singers, are still storytellers. It's just a matter of whether they have the skills to put it down on paper. So, I like to give them the benefit of the doubt. David Duchovny, I think, has a book out. Who did I just see? Norman Reedus has a book out. One of the podcasts I listened to, 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back, they read the first book from Sean Penn. Apparently it's horrible. You also have people like William Shatner. His Tech War books were ghost-written by Ron Goulart. But anyway, what are your thoughts? What do you think? If you see an actor or a singer or a director, somebody that you like their work there, and you see they've written a book, they've written a science fiction novel or a horror novel or whatever, are you likely to check it out? Or do you just go, nah, I'll just stick with their movies or their music or whatever. I don't need to read their book. Let me know in the comments below if any of this makes sense. Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. I love this book so much, I'm going to show it again. Please don't tap on the glass. Mike Lombardo. Pick it up. Read it. Love it. All right. If you care to follow me, please like, share, and subscribe. All that YouTube stuff. Then if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K. ERIKSMITH5757. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. And until next time, read more books.